the dawn of the space age, humanity has looked to the stars with hope, curiosity, and ambition. But with this new frontier came new responsibilities and challenges. One of the most significant milestones in our journey into space was the Outerspace Treaty of 1967. Signed on January 27, 1967 and entering into force on October 10 of the same year, the Outerspace Treaty laid down the fundamental principles for the peaceful exploration and use of outer space. One of its crucial objectives was to protect the space environment and prevent the militarization of space.
If we think about junk, we imagine junk foods, landfills, or trash. But have you ever thought about space junk? Although we cannot see space junk in the sky, there are millions of it orbiting currently in outer space. Space junk comprises human-generated objects such as rocket-launching objects, tiny flecks of paint from the spacecraft, satellites that are no longer working, and a spatula lost by astronaut Pierre Sellers in 2005.
Guys, I thought you made treaties about this sort of thing.
All right, Earth. The other planets and I talked, and it's time for an intervention.
What? What are you talking about?
It's about this Earthling space trash. You can't just keep that all around you.
Huh? I'm not.
Well, it's coming from you. You gotta clean it up. It's making all of us look bad if you leave your garbage floating around.
Are you kidding me? You think I want this? It's the Earthlings! There's over 100 million tiny bits of trash here, and it's all them!
Look, Earth, I know what you mean, but...
No! I'm tired of complaints! None of you have to worry about life forms throwing thousands of satellites and manned stations and now cars for some reason into your orbit!
Well, maybe some of us wouldn't mind.
Wait, you actually want to have life?
I didn't say that, okay? Now, clean up your trash, or have your Earthlings do it. I don't care!
Hey, sorry, Earth. We Earthlings can suck pretty bad sometimes.
Don't worry. It's okay. I can take it. I think.
So the question is, how is our space filled with this junk? Why does nobody bother to clean it? Aren't they responsible for cleaning up their own junk? Well, the answer is simple. The rapid growth of satellite constellation. As we know, satellites are built to send and receive data from Earth, and typically they last for over 15 years before they get replaced with a new one. And the unused satellites are left in the outer space for up to a few decades, even more than 100 years before they eventually burn up when entering the atmosphere. And as of May the 4th, 2024, there are 9,900 active satellites orbiting the Earth. And the USA has the most satellites, holding up to 2,926. So can you imagine the actual number of satellites that are no longer working up there orbiting space? How much junk are there? Now you are probably wondering, who gets to clean this mess?
Generally, no one is responsible for space junk. There is no specific law governing it to bind all states. But Article 9 of Outerspace Treaty 1967 emphasized that the parties must avoid any activity that may be harmful to outer space, including the moon and other celestial bodies. Parties must undertake appropriate measures by undergoing international consultations before continuing with such activity. For example, in Environmental Defense Fund Incorporations against Massey 1993, EDF alleged that the National Science Foundation violated the National Environmental Policy Act (NEPA) by not preparing an impact statement in accordance with Section 102, Clause 2 of NEPA before proceeding to incinerate food waste in Antarctica. The court held that NEPA is not limited to regulations designed to regulate conduct within the territory of the United States, but even in the context of Antarctica, which lacks sovereign authority.
This shows that any regulation to protect the environment also includes outer space, and proper procedures must be followed. A nuclear weapon in space sounds like something straight out of sci-fi movie, right? Well, you heard it right. The word on the street is that this weapon isn't active yet, but there is a super suspicious Russian satellite up there that might be part of the whole deal.
Article 4 of the Outerspace Treaty 1967 says countries cannot put nuclear weapons in orbit around Earth or on any other celestial body. This provision was a significant step in preventing an arms race in space and ensuring the safety of our planet. And thanks to the treaty, space has stayed safe for exploration and the satellites we depend on so much. But the legacy of peace in space is facing new challenges. Recently, a UN resolution to further ban nuclear weapons in space was vetoed by Russia.
So the idea was to make sure everyone sticks to the no nukes rule, even out in space. Think of it like this. Earth is saying, hey, space is a chill zone. Don't bring your explosive toys up here.
The resolution, aimed at strengthening the Outerspace Treaty, sought to reaffirm the commitment of the international community to keeping space free from nuclear weapons. However, Russia's veto has cast a shadow over these efforts. This veto has raised alarm bells around the world. The prospect of space becoming a new arena for nuclear weapons is a chilling one. If a nuke goes off in space, it will be a total disaster. It could destroy thousands of satellites that we use for things like communication, weather forecasting, and national security. With anti-satellite weapons and space-based missile systems, space could turn into a battlefield and underscores the fragility of the agreements that have kept space peaceful for decades.
Alarm and confusion have gripped Washington.
The U.S. has new intelligence
of a, quote, serious national security threat.
Nukes in space, really?
New intelligence suggests that Russia may be developing nuclear weapons to be used in space. Although details of the classified intelligence are slim, space policy experts said that the technology could be used against American satellites, raising questions about Russia's intentions and the potential ramifications of an orbital detonation.
I think this is a wake-up call. What Russia is doing is unprecedented, extremely dangerous, and destabilizing.
The disclosure of the intelligence was first made public by Chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Mike Turner. On February 14th, Turner issued a cryptic statement about an unspecified serious national security threat and called on the Biden administration to declassify the information. The White House wouldn't say if the new Russian system had a nuclear component, but it did confirm that Russia is pursuing what it called an anti-satellite capability.
This is not an active capability that's been deployed. And though Russia's pursuit of this particular capability is troubling, there is no immediate threat to anyone's safety.
Russian President Vladimir Putin denied the U.S. allegations that Moscow plans to deploy nuclear weapons in space.
Наша позиция ясна и прозрачна. Мы категорически всегда были против и сейчас против размещения ядерного оружия в космосе.
Russian development of nuclear weapons for use in space would violate the 1967 Outerspace Treaty.
There is a clause in the Outerspace Treaty that prohibits the placement of nuclear weapons or other weapons of mass destruction into orbit.
Come in, Sat-1. This is... they want you to look over eyes in about 50... There it is. We're getting your feet, Sat-1. Come in, Houston. Are you getting this?
Copy that, ISS. Video feed from Sat-1 is clear. Sat-1, keep tracking the bogey. We're looking into it. Stand by.
Houston, we're not scheduled.
ISS Houston, stand by. We may have a problem here.
Houston, this is ISS.
As we stand on the brink of a new era in space exploration, the actions of nations today will determine whether space remains a realm of peace or becomes a new frontier for conflict. The Outerspace Treaty of 1967 was a beacon of hope, guiding humanity towards the peaceful use of space. But in light of recent events, we are reminded that the pursuit of peace requires constant vigilance and renewed commitment.